This week's Technique Tuesday is looking at static rotations. Last week we looked at how to make our static spins more impressive, and today we're going to learn how to create the illusion of spin on a static pole when we're doing our tricks up the pole. You may or may not have seen people do static rotations, but quite often a static rotation sequence would start at the top of the pole and it will look like the person is spiraling down from one trick to the other as they go. They may even change directions or go upside down or come upright, but the whole goal is to create the illusion that they are still spinning around the pole, which they are, but they're doing it without a spin pole, so it's even more impressive. We're going to look at three main techniques today. The first is suitable for beginners who can do a seat and a layout. The second, you need to be able to climb. And the third, you can do this from the floor, so it could suit some beginners, but I would say it more would suit an intermediate, higher intermediate or advanced student who can be comfortable in split grips and holding themselves by their arms. Okay, let's dive in. We're going to get into a seated position and we probably want to be reasonably off the floor, but it's fine if you're a beginner and you can't climb. Do this wherever you can, but you just might not be able to do as many because with static rotations, we do lose height, okay? That is the whole purpose of our static rotation, is that spiraling motion. So I'm going to get myself into my seat. So I have my right leg on top, so my right hand will stay on to begin with. If you've got your left leg on top, it will be your left hand. So you don't need to be able to take your hands off for this one. And we're just going to come into a seated position and bring our hands at about chest height. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to reach out and then I'm going to pull in. I'm going to reach out and then I'm going to pull in. So how this works is the opposite of spin pole. So on spin pole, if you want to slow down, you reach out away from the pole. If you want to speed up, you hug in. On static, if you want to go fast, you lean out. If you want to go slow, you hug in. But it's not just about how close we are to the pole, it's also about the kind of movement we're doing. So with this one in particular, what we're doing is we're going to lengthen out, which you can see lengthening out by itself doesn't create spin. But what we're going to do as we spin is draw a big circle with our arm, and we're going to arch our chest. So what I'm doing here is I'm circling, I'm hugged in, I start to circle with my arm and I'm going to really arch and lead my chest round in a big circle around the pole. And this is very similar to what we did with static spins last week. We learned that we need to be away and around to create that spin, and it's exactly the same here. When you get to the point where you feel like your grip's going, you're not moving as fast, your hand's going to pop off, that's when you pull in and then you just reverse it the other way with the other hand. So I'm in my seat, right leg is on top, right hand is at chest height, doesn't matter if you're the other side. So I start to straighten and I reach my arm circling and I lean my chest back. I pull in. I then swap hands, I lean, I circle, I pull in. And we can just practice going back and forth as many times as you can with the height that you've got available to you and the grip you've got available. Now these are, in some respects, a hell of a lot more painful than normal seats and layouts because your skin is going to be pulling against the pole. But the more you do it, I promise it does, like most things in pole, it does get less painful. So that's your first technique. Definitely give that a try. Whether you've got a pole at home now or next time you're in the studio, it's a good one to start getting used to that movement. The second one is a lot harder to teach for me here right now because I don't have much height. So when I go for my second climb, it never looks quite as impressive as it does when I do this in the studio where I've got a lot more height. But let's look at the basics. So this requires movement from the hands now, so we can actually be quite close to the pole with this one. This is all in the hand movement. So last one was the body, this is now our hands. So we're going to use our hands to pull us around the pole. So when we climb normally, we'll put our hands sort of in a neutral position in our baseball grip. We're holding sort of thumbs up onto the pole, okay, and we climb and we just keep going up. When we want to spin, we have to turn the hands and then pull ourselves to our hands. So I'm reaching my hands in front of me, and then I'm pulling myself towards my hands. So it's almost like you're reaching ahead of where you are around the pole. So if I want to go clockwise, my hands have to be reaching clockwise around the pole. So this is like neutral, and this would be reaching round towards my clockwise. If I wanted to go anti-clockwise, I would need to reach round to anti-clockwise. So it's just reaching the hands and twisting them a little bit further. And then, like I said, you're pulling yourself towards your hands. So you can do this from your first climb. You can reach your hands already in front, and then as you pull off, you're going to pull yourself to your hands. I'm going to try and not get my hands too high so they're not off camera, but I'm reaching them round, and then as I take my legs off, you can see I turn round to my hands. Now, like I said, it's not great in here to demonstrate this. I'd love more height, but that is the basic skill, and it's actually simple in the sense of the steps. It's just maybe a little bit harder in terms of the strength, okay, and whether you've got enough ceiling height. So definitely, again, give it a try. So remember what I'm doing, and it's the same with lots of different things in static rotations. You can use this for a few different skills, but this is the easiest one to try today. So instead of neutral, I'm reaching around and I'm pulling my body to my hands. Okay, and most of the movement happens in the moment you take the legs off to go up for your second climb, not as the legs are on. So try one more time and then you can give it a try. So I'm reaching ahead into my climb. My second one, I'm reaching around, so I'm twisted with my hands. I let my legs off. I pull myself to my hands. Okay. Let's look at the last one. There's two stages to this. So the first one, most people could try from the floor, but it's definitely not a beginner suitable one. You could injure yourself, so just be careful, just watch if you don't feel ready. So I'm going to get myself into like a secretary position. If you are a member of Practical Pole, we have a tutorial for this. So we're going to put our knee on. Inside arm high, second arm is pushing, bottom leg comes over the top. And this time it's my legs that are going to do the movement. So the first one was my body, the second was my hands, now it's my legs. So my legs are going to straighten forwards and draw a big circle all the way around the pole. Okay, so it comes from the legs. Now this is harder than the last two because we are actually hanging a hell of a lot of weight on our arms and we're almost in like a bracket grip. So we're not in a full split grip, but we are partially in that position. So the top arm is doing most of the work supporting the body, and we need a strong push to keep the body away. But the concept is the same as the first one and the same as our spins. We have to draw that big circle round the pole. We're not just going forwards and back, okay, or down and around. We've got to go up and around. So my knee is on, top arm straight, second arm pushing, leg is over. The legs are going to go forwards and around. Okay, so if you feel like you're ready to try that, for sure, give it a try. It's doable as long as you know that you can hold yourself in that bracket grip. Now, one extra step for anyone who is more advanced is to try this up the pole. So this is a lot more advanced. This is how you then start to put things together. And you can end this with a cradle or a Jamila, up to you, no judgment. I'm just going to give you the examples so that you have an idea of how this works. So I'm going to side climb into the same position I just had on the floor, my secretary position, and I'm going to do the same to begin with. Circle around. And then I'm going to drop my hand, and I'm going to go into my Jamila. Now, in trying to do it slow to show you what's happening, I lose a lot of momentum. So the real key with these kinds of movements is fast. So get your legs out, swing around, go for it, don't hesitate. So let's go again. So side climb up, knee nice and high, leg over, hand is pushing. So they go forwards first and swing in their big circle. And then I keep spinning. So it's important to note that this is not a substitute for learning how to do these skills individually. Things like your Jamila, your bracket grip, okay? So you shouldn't be trying these unless you already have those skills in place and you understand what I'm doing, because the whole point of this is just to understand the rotation element rather than giving you the tools you need to achieve the first bit. But I do have a platform if you're not already on it. Hi members, those of you who are doing it on Practical Pole, or those of you who are just doing this on YouTube, you can sign up. There's a link in the description of this video if you're interested, with everything you're going to need to get you to some of these skills if you're not there yet. So your climbs, your Jamillas, your secretary, all of those kinds of things. Okay, as always, any questions, please put them in the text, in the comments. And don't forget to train smarter, not harder.